Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to another edition of Hot Program. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, folks, I am in airplane mode. And now a man who found rocks containing gold in his backyard, but is more excited that his cheap Harbor Freight log splitter goes through old tree stumps with ease. A man who needs no introduction. How you doing today, my friend? I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Cool. My back's bothering me, but I'll be okay.
I'm sorry to hear that. Do you take anything for it?
Exercises. I have physical therapy that I still go to, and I do exercises.
I'm talking about drugs.
Oh,
pain meds, something.
I since I've struggled with food my whole life, like to get myself together nutritionally, and I just can't seem to do it. I will refuse to take any painkillers that might be habit forming, and I just deal with the pain because I figure that's better than living on the street and selling other people's stuff.
But what about like Tylenol or something?
No.
I feel like that's still is that a hangover from religious indoctrination?
No,
that we're like,
it's me thinking my limits are. It's me building a hedge around my limits.
Sure.
I had hernia surgery. I had an inguinal hernia back in like 1995 or something like that. And the doctors gave me codeine or something like that. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And this pill was like that. It's that big. And I'm not used to taking any pain medication, regardless of how I feel. So the lady said, take the whole pill. Okay, she goes, if you're really hurting, take 2. Well, I was really hurting. I took 2. And I'm hallucinating. I'm watching shadows morph into things on the wall. It was like I had my own version of Fantasia. And I call a friend of mine up. Nancy, I don't know what's going on. And I describe her. She goes, did you take something for your pain? I said, yeah, I took 2 of these pills. And she starts laughing at me and she goes, you're high.
Yeah.
I don't get high.
Yeah, you just enjoy it, you know?
That's not my thing. It was terrifying. What do you mean enjoy?
But it was because doctor's orders, you know? That's when you do it. You say, hey, the doctor said I should take this, you know? I should take this. All right, let's get into our show today because we got something interesting to talk about. The modern day night project. And it seems to me like you know, a cross between like your right wing. Okay, look, it's straight out of your whole right wing manosphere, right? It's straight out of your right wing manosphere. Creepy pickup artists, weird but stupid, but still uber conservative and trad. Like that's how they are. They all want to be uber alpha males that get all the women, but they're super trad, right? So they're you know, it's weird. But it's crossed with like medieval times, you know. So I didn't know anything about this. So we're gonna see what we get into here. All right,
in Roman times, a knight was someone who was wealthy enough to own a horse.
But see, okay, but look, that's straight off the thing, right? Like that's part of this whole thing because let's just be clear, the caucasity is going to be very forward. You know, it's going to be the caucasity from the mountains of Caucasus. Okay,
I've been there.
And to me, like that's a big part of the thing. Like we were watching a video about trucks last night in Gather. We were watching a video about the truck. You're a truck guy. Now you have a particular vintage, nice piece of
Yes, I do.
automotive history, right? But a lot of the trucker guys, they don't really labor like that. You know, they're office guys. That's why I have the knight and sitting in a desk chair. Because that's what they say about the roofing class, right? They're a contractor company. But yeah, I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. The fantasy of what they're, it's like a fantasy lifestyle brand, right? Because you're right. There's no knighting to be done in modern society in any meaningful way, right? And so that's kind of what's interesting.
These days, it's so hard to keep up with the latest trends in masculinity. Which things are and are not effeminate and therefore gay. How to know whether you're embodying the mindset of an alpha male, a beta male, or a sigma male, the rarest male type. Which pseudoscientific scams are going to give me the best bang for my buck in terms of improving my physiognomy, a word I'd never heard until I watched an unhinged rant from a guy on YouTube who probably uses 3-in-1 shampoo, body wash, and conditioner, if indeed he does shower at all, which he shouldn't, because washing your dick is gay. Like all problems, the market has a solution for you. If you're a tough boy willing to go through some rough boy training, you can gain the proportionate strength, speed, and agility of a man. And not just any man, mind you, a knight in shining armor. Today I'd like to talk about the Modern Day Knight Project, a training regime offered to men in order to...
All right, and you see already like the branding. Your family deserves the best version of you as a leader, husband, and father. And I know that this is just like very typical pandering to right-wingers, but we have to start to talk about just how patriarchy forward all of these things are. Like that codedness of you're supposed to be the headship of the family and the life. And again, like most people feel like there's a certain healthy degree of that needs to come with adulting. But when you deal with these people, it's always dangerous, right? Because you're going to get a bunch of white guys in a room, start talking about what it means to be a man, okay? And yeah, problems ensue. And again, you see already in this picture, like the equivalent of a thumbnail. I don't know if you guys see this, but they're all like in these plain white shirts. And I guess they have their like names on them, because again, all this stuff gets very paramilitary, right? And they're gonna be training to be knights or whatever. And the dude in the front is like doing the police position, and he's got his little pistol out, like defensive. So you gotta catch their branding. You gotta know who you're dealing with, like right off the bat, like literally, like nanosecond one. Like as soon as they flash an image in front of you, like, oh, I already know this is gonna be all certified.
Well, is the guy on the left side,
that's
our
the
left?
Gun. Yeah.
Is he okay? He is holding a gun.
That's a good guy with the gun. Yeah. That's
So
a good guy with
now,
the gun right
if
there.
I want to reread, it says your family deserves the best version of you as a leader, husband, and father, and he's holding a gun. Is that really the best version? Is that guy the example?
See, well, that's the
dude standing around.
Now you're understanding the ideology. That's who we dealing with. That's the whole
Ladies and
problem
gentlemen,
with these people.
Ladies and gentlemen, I worry for what's going on in our nation here. I think there's a lot of impressionable people who are being taken advantage of at record levels.
Now, see, this is the very interesting thing that we wrestle with. And boy, when I say wrestle with, I do mean wrestle with. It's like, yeah, but like it's so hard, because we've been talking about a lot of different issues. They are victims. They are absolutely being taken advantage of. But at the same time, they're like a threat to the rest of us. And so, it's kind of like, I'm more afraid of them than I do have sympathy for them, but from a safe distance, if you understand what I'm saying. Because they're scary, right? Like they're weaponized. They're useful idiots, but when useful idiots get weaponized, yeah, you're in a problem, especially with everything going on. Because let me just say this: think about how do you think these type of people responded to the Trump verdict?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends on the guy. Like, I guess we'll see in a moment when we get into what they say of themselves, what their instructors are, how they are instructing them, what they are instructing them of. But I think I don't know. It's too soon for me to tell. I don't know.
All right.
Project.
How did you respond to the Trump verdict?
In order to
With elation, with dancing, celebrating with friends. Just yeah, one of the truly great American moments I've lived to experience. One of those rare moments where you go, and I'm proud to be. Wait, never mind. But no, since then it's kind of like set in. Like I'm not confident he's gonna get a prison sentence.
I'm not either.
And so that's what I really need to, recapture that magic in that moment. Yeah. You don't think he's going to either?
Sadly, for the thousands of people he's taken advantage of over the years and abused through the business world, and we're learning not just the business world with the Eugene Carrolls of his past. It's sad that they are so happy to let him go free. Like the judge, when he had contempt of court, didn't even put him in jail. I would have said, you're in jail till the end of this trial. I'm not mucking around. I'll let you out to go see your son graduate, and you will come directly back here after he does.
Well, that's what would have happened to any of the rest of us. But
if they were lucky.
It's
right.
Yeah, it's
so
all
I just think, honestly, I think it's all theater, and I wonder how many people are in on it not being a big deal after all. Now, is his reputation damaged? Well, for the people who knew about this guy beforehand, no, it's the same. For the people who didn't think he was a creep and didn't think 12 reasonable people could convict him after hearing all the evidence, I think there's some people who are Trump supporters who are legitimately surprised. Like, wait.
Well, there are some people who said if he were convicted, they might change their mind. Now, whether
that's like 16%.
But here's the thing: we don't know. To your point, we don't know how many of them were just diehard Trump supporters who just like assumed that Trump could not be convicted, so that felt like a safe thing to say at the time, right? Not being aware of how much evidence there really was against him. And then now you wonder how many of them just said that, and now they'll still be with Trump. It was sort of I'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay, can I just comment for our audience and so they can maybe talk about this with friends and family? So in my career as an accountant, I have to reimburse people. I've reimbursed thousands of people. We don't gross up repayments. If you bring me a receipt because you bought, I'm just gonna say, like, you bought a bunch of materials for a project we're doing, right? Let's say you have to buy so much concrete, we're building a bridge or something like that, and you buy concrete in bags. You're not buying truckloads because that's on me, but you're buying concrete in bags to do part of the bridge. Okay, so I will pay you back exactly what you spent, including tax. If you bought a candy bar, I'm not giving you your money for the candy. You bought a soda, I'm not buying your soda. I will buy the concrete back from you as the accountant on the project. I'm not giving you money for anything else. If you put it on your credit card, that's on you. You could have given me the receipt the next day and I could have paid you back, or I could have given you the money before you went to the store, so you would have had to pay no interest at all. Now, Cohen took out a loan on his house to cover the cost of paying her. You can literally say, okay, Michael, I see you did that. You had to pay interest. You did this for Donald Trump at 0% interest. There's no way. I would say you're going to pay me what I spent. So if I pay that loan back in 7 months, you're paying not $400,000 for the 130 I paid, but you're going to pay roughly like 150 for it, and that's it. You know, if there's a loan origination fee, you pay that. All the fees associated with me getting that second mortgage on my house, so I can pay off this woman who wants to tell the world she slept with you and how great it was, whatever. But there is no paying, multiple times the amount of the loan. You don't do that. You're trying to hide something when you do that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And also, I don't think she said it was great. It was not great. Mushroom.
Well, who knows?
Let's just say
I wasn't there.
Let's just say he's Mushroom. He's the Mushroom in the Mario character.
I don't know if she testified to that, or is that just something funny to say to what's that guy's name from Saturday Night Live?
Reporters or whatever.
Yeah, she might have her fun with that sort of thing, and I don't care. I don't care. Donald Trump's got enough problems. I don't need to poke fun of the guy, but and I don't know that anybody needs to. Just say look at him. By the way, and I don't remember the name of, there is a podcast with psychologists or psychiatrists or something like that, where they talk about how his behavior is symptomatic of someone with dementia, and they play clips of what he does to kind of show you what you can expect.
Stop, because that's I mean, you're not wrong. It's just this bothers me because it's leaning into this rhetoric that they're going to use to justify him being too old and fragile to do prison time, but then turning around and saying he can be president to run exactly.
Yeah,
all right, let's get back into this video.
Well, I'm not sure what it does exactly, but it makes them manlier. I know that
manliness.
It's like what they did to Mulan in Mulan. I have not seen Mulan, but it's like that, I think.
The project is a 75-hour experience. The project is not an experience. It's for men just like you who know that you're meant for more, who know that you might have areas in your life that you're not performing at your highest level. It's also a process. It's like administering chemotherapy to a cancerous area of the body. The physical challenging that you go through is purpose-driven to help you become the man you know in your deepest heart that you're meant to be. Every single evolution is purpose-driven. And all we're going to do as instructors over the next 75 hours is administer the project.
This is so annoying too. It just bothers me that they're I know these are a bunch of young earth creationists, creators as the fascists. Don't talk about the evolutions you're gonna go through.
No different.
But look, and then they say it contains evolutions, but it's purpose driven. Get out of here.
The doctor would administer chemotherapy to a cancerous body part. You have to be able to control your emotions, because the moment you shut down and you let those thoughts come in, and the self-talk begins, and the self-talk is never, "Yay, you got this." What did you do? Why did you sign up for this?
I was able to leave with more confidence, more faith in myself. My family feels more secure.
Look at that.
And my finances, I feel like I have more control to be able to make the decisions that will allow me to propel much further than I had self-limiting beliefs on those aspects.
And so this is literally like going to a pickup artist convention for manliness and shooting guns and targets, and this is all very weird. It's just all very.
Hey, I'm waiting for them to get in the monster truck and take it around the block. We'll see.
Yeah, that is exactly what it feels like is about to happen. Gang, this is weird. I didn't know that this was happening until this morning, but I'm deeply concerned about this.
Well, holy shit, that's so badass. That's so cool. They looked cool and good in that clip. Do we have any other footage? Any other footage to show?
Go.
By the way, I just realized the algorithm writes this show. Do you know how much this show is dictated by what shows up on our social media feeds? Thought for concern. All right, and then this thing bugs me. First off, it just feels like all of this ice bath plunging like thing has gone way too viral, way too many people doing it. Like the science is very not confidence inspiring, to say the least. And so I'm still not convinced that this isn't like a bunch of pseudoscientific nonsense in placebo that people don't really need. I'm not sure the average person needs to be plunging deep into a bath full of ice.
They do
and
not.
there are definitely some serious risk associated with it. But you just see this a lot. A lot of celebrities are doing it. There's like a lot of and again, it's usually like fucking right wingers. But and that's what the people don't even realize that's where this shit is coming from. And they're just prone to pseudoscience, y'all. That's all I'm saying. They're prone to pseudoscience. You might want to look into this thing and make sure you're very well aware of the risk before you go plunging yourself into a bath of ice.
True.
It's very similar to the men's conferences at churches. Katina coming through with the heat. Understand something, Katina. I think that's what I think this is. I think
that's where I was
exactly
headed. And
this is.
That when I made the monster truck comment, because like that men's conference where the sword swallower was, they did stuff like the previous year where they had a monster
the sword
truck
swallowing
and
pole dancer.
Yeah,
and go back and make sure you check out the sword swallowing pole dancer episode. No, we're not exaggerating. No. But yes, that's exactly. Matter of fact, I feel like that's their market, right? Their market is like a little bit. Don't get me wrong; it's definitely the Manosphere and the Joe Rogans and all of that stuff. But it's definitely like this is the thing to do for your church's men's group, and yeah, absolutely, and again, also like I know it might feel like a stretch to most people, but y'all got to remember that the KKK were really knights, right? And so anytime I see hyper caucasity of men running around glorifying the idea of being knights, as a person of color, I'm on alert. I'm not saying that they got they robes and all of that and that they're going to be burning crosses any minute. I'm just saying I'm on alert. I'm less here very specifically what they intend to be doing when they get together. Okay, because it's not inspiring confidence, y'all. It's not inspiring confidence.
I think we can all
Power
agree
grunting.
that what we
Got
just
it.
saw was peak masculinity. Men in this modern day world need 3 skills: withstanding scrapes and boo-boos, the ability to endure cold temperatures, and yelling until they're beat red in the face at other men in parking lots. Having those things is going to make you more confident, more attractive to women, more well-adjusted in general. This, to me, this is the picture of mental health. You can trust these guys with your safety as you go through all sorts of things they admit are dangerous and likely painful. You don't got to take it from...
And also, I hate to like pile on, but they say that men sometimes struggle to express their emotions. Mm-hmm. And when I see dudes just axe tossing and fire gun shooting and ice bathing and power grunting, I just want to say, use your words. Just tell us what you're going through. Call a friend. When was the last time you talked to your mother? There's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
Me, you can see for yourself here on their website that I think was designed by the Time Cube guy. I'm just going to scroll down this website and just, how long do you think I'll be scrolling? Take a guess. Pretty long already, isn't it? No way it could go much longer than this, right? No way. Their logo has a skull with a Viking helmet, and they do a bunch of shit with axes, so it's...
He's gonna get
this
there.
Is expensive.
I think he's gonna get there. Yeah, I don't know yet.
Seems more like
this is real. Look at this.
Their logo has a skull with a Viking helmet, and they do a bunch of shit with axes.
See, sus. sus, y'all. I'm on alert. I'm on
And
alert.
the Vikings didn't wear helmets that had horns in them, but that's okay.
Yeah, you know, it's they got to put their own twist on it, you know. Honestly, let's be real, y'all. That's what the AI came up with. Y'all know like I do. That's what the AI generated, and it's okay. You just roll with it.
So it seems more like at some point they were going for a Viking theme rather than a knight theme. But I imagine they didn't want to call it the modern day Viking project because like Vikings were famous for bathing.
The Nordic
and that would turn
influence,
off their
yes.
target demo. Despite the appearances, I think if people want to improve themselves, that's great. It's not for me, but if that's your thing, go for it. If people gain confidence from enduring difficult challenges, more power to you. I think that's wonderful. If this were simply an exercise program that was very difficult, designed to be really hard and punishing, and people, you know, were adults and they could just choose to do that if they wanted, that's fine. That's not what this is. This is a scam. They are quite obviously using the same methods that a cult might use to attract, ensnare, and brainwash vulnerable people. It's just that a cult would hide it rather than making it their value proposition. Attention! The Modern Day Night Project is only for entrepreneurs, executives, and leaders who are ready for a serious breakthrough. This exclusive experience isn't for anyone who's just starting their self-development journey. This in-depth experience is for men who are seriously ready and tired of making excuses.
No brokies. No brokies. I mean, let's be real. If you're broke, you're probably woke, right? Go woke, go broke. So we don't want you in your empty pocketbook around, and we definitely don't want you in your DEI and all that other stuff. So no wokies, no brokies. But yeah, this is that executive retreat for those who are looking to power up. And it's got to be a very specific class, right? Like you've literally got to be in that group of people that is largely more successful than anybody you know, except for the other people in your org chart that you feel you'll never get to where they're at, right? Because you've got to be successful in all this, but it's clearly playing on your insecurities and you're aimless, and you've got to level up. You've got to get to that next level. So it's very very specific demographic that I guess I'm not a part of. Maybe that's why I don't why it doesn't appeal to me, because I'm not the intended audience. You know, that's part of it.
This program is marketed to the specific intersection of people
actually, nice.
who are already
how many
successful
Teslas are in the parking
who
lot?
already
I'm
have
just
money.
curious. How many
but also
Cybertrucks are in
feel
that parking lot?
alienated.
There are many Cybertrucks in the parking lot. This is for the Cybertruck crowd for sure.
They are selecting for people who believe all of their problems are just their own fault, and to complain is to simply make an excuse. Like, for example, if you were to complain that their course was bullshit, that's an excuse. That's the type of person who's not ready. They don't want that kind of guy. And you can tell it's important to them because this exact text is written out twice on the website. Sorry, did I say twice? I meant 6 times. Here's the project founder explicitly advising his followers to ignore other people's thoughts and opinions, such as, for example, say, a warning that you don't need to give him money. And I don't want to get too distracted here by Bedros' Twitter page, but just a little tasting for you.
Listen, if you are an entrepreneur, you have a product or a service, then you got 2 very important things you got to do. Number 1, you got to make sure this damn thing makes a lot of money and makes you a lot of profits. The reason is you didn't become an entrepreneur to work 24/7 only to make 9 to 5 kind of income, right?
Okay, let me just jump in here with a couple of things that needs to be stated about these people. They are all just capitalist simps, just the worst type of capitalist simps ever. And it just needs to be mentioned, needs to be brought out, because y'all know I'm not about that life. And also it bothers me how much their whole existence is the need to exploit others and then turn around and pretend they're the hardest working people in the room. It just drives me nuts. Again, most of the hardest worker people I know ain't got time to be going to no Viking Raider convention in their spare time because they're busy and they don't have time off. But like, you know, these are the dudes that, again, they all fantasize about the 4-hour work week and, you know, exporting all of their labor and all of this type of stuff. So yeah, that drives me nuts. I don't know. That's all.
So
I
if you're
guess.
not making the kind of money you want, you better start figuring out how to do that.
Make money, you say? Can't believe I never thought of that. I'm glad I followed you for this stunning insight.
Number two, if you truly believe you have a great product or service, it's better than anything else out there. You have a duty and an obligation to promote it, to share it, to showcase testimonials, before and after, transformations, case studies. And if you don't, then you are literally telling your future customers to go buy an inferior product or service from someone else, and you're really doing bad by them.
Hold on, let me
Okay.
grab a pen.
There's
You're telling me
there's very Jordan Peterson-y. There's very much like a tie your shoes and make up your bed and brush your teeth, or else you won't.
Or you go home.
Yeah. But there's also a way in which there's like and again, like, that's fine, and like I don't want to say like I'm against it. Like, yes, if you like are starting a business or running your own thing or having your Etsy shop or whatever, like, yes, do these basic things. They will help you. But it is something to watch the grifters sort of patent the grift and then, you know, pattern the grift for others. It's like a organically forming multi-level marketing scheme, right? Like and you're kind of just like watching it like just naturally form in real time, and it's like interesting.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
products and services can be advertised. Speaking in my capacity as an alien from space who just landed on Earth, you should give him a bunch of money so that he'll yell at you to make you more business. One tip-off that the Modern Day Night Project is not on the up and up is that for as long as I've been looking at this website, which is many weeks at this point, all of their classes are sold.
I don't know. No, Hive Side, let's be clear. Don't know. I don't know. I've seen a couple videos that I've been all right with, but I don't know. I feel like this is a new creator for me, and he's got a bunch of stuff on this channel. But this grabbed me. You know, y'all know how YouTube is. I was talking about that earlier, how the algorithm writes the show. But no, this popped up and I hadn't heard of it, so it was interesting to me. But I haven't seen a lot of this creator stuff, so I don't know. But yeah, we've been having a good time so far. Well said, Carrie.
Sold out, except for the last two, which only have a few spots left. You better act now. Here's a little web safety tip from me to you. If you ever see that on a website, do not buy anything there. Just trust me on that. Put away your credit card, because if the thing was worth buying, they wouldn't need to sell it to you that way. Also, the heading is previous class lists, so don't know why some of them are in the future. Also seems like the ones that are sold out are only sold out in the sense that you can no longer buy tickets because they already happened. They market their program specifically as a way to cure mental illness. Not a mental illness, mind you, just the abstract concept of mental illness, to cure addiction, to overcome trauma or depression or whatever. All with the weasel wording you might expect that gives them an out when you inevitably don't. Because you won't.
And that's something you notice too. Like if you look into like the ice plunge thing phenomena and all this stuff, you will see that it's always carefully worded with just something as simple as potential benefits, right? Because they need to avoid making a strong
lawsuits.
claim.
That's the nice disclaimer.
Yeah, just that.
And also, you could die during this training. This is at your own risk. Check with your doctor before proceeding. It's stuff like that that's in the
red flag.
Yeah, exactly. The agreements a lot of the time.
Yeah, so you have a lot of that here, and yeah, this to me just feels very pickup artisty. I remember breaking down the business model of those guys, like the way they marketed their products and then scheduled these sort of events and then created this artificial scarcity and very much tried to artificially create a prestige product that was like super expensive and exclusive feeling. And it's all the same thing. It's all just like a carbon copy grift. And you see this in a lot of different domains. Like, and so there's this bigger problem that we have, and again, I think it is artifact of late stage capitalism, but we're in this time when we have not had a lot of class and worker solidarity, and we don't have really good organized labor. People are a lot struggling with the gig economy. And then one of the ways to like escape that is the grift economy. That's one of the few ways to become like independently financially stable. So sector after sector after sector, if it doesn't go the way of the gig economy, it goes the way of the grift economy. And it's just there's a thing called the enshittification. You talk about the enshittification of everything, like just the way everything becomes crappy in late stage capitalism. And I think this is like one of those examples. It's like, oh goodness.
Now flip the switch and suddenly all your problems will be gone. Whatever your problems happen to be, just project your problems onto this program. Those are the ones we'll fix, yours specifically. What a coincidence. My problems are my problems. You know, what's interesting though about that though, is that among their listed top staff, they don't seem to have psychology degrees or like there are any medical professionals whatsoever, like one might want for a program designed specifically to cause pain and mental anguish.
Yeah, their credentials are, I can imagine credentials being things like body fat percentage.
Look, no, look at this. It's worse. All right, so there's the founder, and he is teaching entrepreneurs how to build empires and create legacies. Best-selling author of Man Up, How to Cut the Bullshit and Kick Ass in Business and in Life.
Have a psychology degree.
Then he's the head of the grift. Then you have the co-founder of the project. He is a U.S. Marine, and he's also the quote-unquote facilitator of suffering to ensure that you earn your spot inside the brotherhood. So he's basically the guy that makes sure we've got a healthy degree of like frat boy hazing going on. Then you've got another former Marine Raider and Recon, a modern day night project instructor, best-selling author of Excommunicated Warrior.
Excommunicated Warrior? Was he dishonorably discharged?
Excommunicated Warrior, probably, who knows? He's the co-founder of Johnny Slicks, the Agogi and Always Forward podcast. Every day, thousands of men are using Nick's products and services to level up in every aspect of their lives. And this is so Katina was so spot on. It's so just church men's retreat, because just like Jesus, it's got that promise, that cure-all. It's just that general, whatever you're going through, this is the magic
medical
thing.
Professionals whatsoever.
Former Navy SEAL William Brennan, the next guy, he's another instructor, founder of the Naked Warrior Recovery and the Navy SEAL Mindset podcast.
Ever, like one might want for a program
and then,
designed.
Chris Weichman is the retired U.S. Air Force survival, evasion, resistance, and escape specialist. He's the Operation Black Site instructor and a modern day night project instructor. Specifically
to cause pain and mental anguish in people.
Okay, did y'all notice any common themes of these guys? Again, the caucasity from the Caucasus Mountains, y'all. Okay, and they're all military. All their background is Navy SEAL, the U.S. Army veteran, Marine sniper.
You know, maybe toxic masculinity is defined, or should be defined, as thinking being masculine is toxic at all, because or thinking not being masculine enough is actually what's toxic. Maybe that's the idea.
Of course, yes.
So like, you aren't man enough. We have mothers and wives in our audience. I wonder if we polled them and asked them how could their husband be a better person. It might be things like, well, actually maybe he needs to make a little time for himself, or I'd like him to spend more time with this child or that child or the children, more time with her, right? Less time away doing things, maybe traveling for work,
But do you
less
know how you solve that problem? I mean, you're trying to
talking.
describe exactly. You got to sit down and actually talk to your partner.
Yeah, you got to
You
have a
know, you don't
conversation
go.
about
You
it.
don't go into the woods and chuck axes, and do ice dives in the a triathlon. Like that's not how
That's
you
not the
figure
way.
out what people in your life need from you. Like this is
Mm-mm.
crazy.
I agree.
Uh,
I agree.
Do you think I'm exaggerating about the idea that the program is designed to create pain and mental anguish in people? I should mention they do have a facilitator of suffering. That was more important than having like a doctor. I guess that's how you know it's a real business. It's worth reading through their release forms to see all the ways they try to dodge lawsuits, like expecting attendees to examine all safety equipment for malfunction, something they are likely
wow.
not qualified to do, especially because who knows what equipment is involved. The contents of the program are not public,
And I'm
the release
sure they definitely like give you time and remind you of this. And they're like, hey, don't forget your contract says you should. So here, you should go. Come on now.
form also forbids you from making them public. Surely, it is the duty of the facilitator of suffering to maintain safety equipment. Otherwise, how has the suffering been facilitated whatsoever? It's just been caused. Anyone can cause suffering, but okay, it's a very tough boy training. You gotta crawl through all sorts of mud and jump in stuff you don't want to jump in, and
Protect yourself at all
guys
times.
yell at you, and it's going to make you really, really strong. Now, let me ask you a question.
All right, here we go.
How much are you willing to pay to become the best version of yourself? What do you think is an appropriate price to have sweaty guys yell at you for a weekend until you become a better leader, father, and man?
All right, y'all. Come on now. How much are you paying?
$8.41.
How
Like
much
I
are you
said,
paying
Pocket
for this
Locker, I got the
retreat?
cash. $8.41.
I know, but here's a better question. What do you think the price is?
40 grand.
40 grand. That's crazy. You know, I think these
Look.
type of things might be in like the maybe like 8 at the most, maybe like 8,000.
All right, let me tell you something. So a friend of mine that I used to work for, he's an amazing accountant, but he's even better painter. He can do photorealistic paintings. I asked him, how long does like an average painting for you take? He goes 600 hours. So he will sell his paintings for around $15,000 at that time. This is years ago. At that time, around $15,000. So if you take 600 hours and you divide it by, or you take $15,000, you divide it by 600, he's barely paying himself anything to do it.
Right.
But he does sell prints, which are cheaper, but the prints are still like $400. And I thought about that, and he could see me thinking like, well, that just isn't worth it. He said, because he was talking about my bicycles that I built, he goes, you shouldn't sell your bicycles for less than $2,500. You know, I told him about what I spend. He goes, yeah, don't sell it for less than $2,500. Like, well, I'm not going to sell that many. He goes, so don't. There's only so much time that you have. And you, like my paintings, it's an exclusive thing. No matter how many people want it, they can't have it. But somebody with the money who loves it can, and they will. Well, I've never sold a bike for $2,500, but I've sold quite a few of them for $2,000 because there are people willing to pay that because they know I have something. This is limited edition. This is one of
it's really
one. He's
rare.
only building 3 of these. Blah blah blah. It was worth it to him. And when I was doing photography too, I was trying to get my prices like a really decent price for people that was affordable to them. He goes, don't. He says, charge $500-600 per person because it's the same principle. When you charge a lot of money for a product, let's take a modern day BMW. They have all these plastic parts on the engine, which takes a beautifully engineered automobile. It makes it junk in 5 years. It's literally a liability to own. It's more expensive for the repairs than it was the payments after a while. So it's no good secondhand. But man, when you drive that thing for the first 3 years, you wonder, does anybody make anything better than this? It's wonderful.
No, I mean, it's definitely how
But
luxury marketing works. But
it's perceived. A Rolls Royce, I got to be honest, the Rolls Royce Spectre, it's not the best looking car, but I like a quiet automobile. If I had the money to pay for one of those, I'd buy it. I wouldn't hesitate. It's okay looking. It's not better looking than my truck. It's not, this is an insult to Rolls Royce. Do forgive me. It's not even better looking than my 2008 daily driver Prius. It's not. But when it comes to features, my Prius, it's like the car my Prius would put on the wall of the garage for worship, right? It's an amazing feat of engineering, but it's kind of plain looking in my opinion. But it's amazing. So I can tell you today confidently, Rolls Royce would have my money if I had that money to spare. I'd give it to him. Give me one of those cars.
Well, I think that's what a lot of these guys do, is like that's a certain class that they're looking for. All right, here we go. We're gonna find out.
And you know what they don't need? They don't need 500,000 people trying to buy one, right? Because then, is it going to be exclusive anymore? Which is one of the reasons people spend the money.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
A moment, decide on a figure, write it
All
down
right,
on
here
a
we
piece
go.
of paper, and whisper your dreams to it. Were you thinking more or less than 18,000 United States dollars,
Oh
which
my
also does not
goodness.
include airfare to the project compound? You have to give them $18,000 to fly to their
That's a
secret
lot.
compound, their words, to have them do secret stuff on you to make you into a toughie. Do you see what
That's a lot of money, y'all. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But that's definitely that class. That's definitely what they're looking for. A luxury experience. So not 50. And we got KW said 25. 18, that's a lot. That's a lot of
18
money
is some
for this.
serious cash. Yeah.
Because I've seen like pickup artist conventions that are like 8 or 10. That's kind of why I went with that number. 18's a lot.
I mean
Oof.
about how this is like how a cult operates, but like they're bragging about the red flags instead of hiding them. But fellas, I hear you. How are we going to get the old battle axe to approve of us learning how to use battle axes? Well, there's also a testimonial section from the wives of men who've completed the program, and guess what? It was good for them.
Oh no. This is what they mean by testimonials.
Hey, I'm Steve Eckert, United States Marine, entrepreneur, and instructor of the project. Welcome to...
Who apparently isn't fucking alpha male or dominant enough or high value enough to get himself a motherfucking decent microphone. Apparently, or maybe he's just beyond that point. I don't know how it works. What a dope.
Another episode of the MDK Wives Show.
Do y'all not hear that? Are your ears not offended? That's just awful. Just God.
Maybe they're waiting on. Maybe what we saw was like all marketing, and those guys were models.
Yeah, I don't.
And they don't have students yet.
That's very much a possibility. I mean, I don't want to tech shame people, but if you're trying to be part of the executive class and you're charging 18,000 for a damn retreat, like, bro, get yourself a SM57. It's like $100. Like, you'll be okay.
Believe so much in the project.
Our family, even just in 1 year, has benefited mentally, socially, physically, spiritually.
I would never say no if he asked me to go and give back to you guys or to connect with you guys. I would never say no. At this point, it's given way too much to my family.
They learned a lot of lessons and became more confident and
Wow.
performance, more entrepreneur than they had been in the past.
You know, and at work.
And by the way, performance means better and bad. In case anybody else doesn't know the like coded language, I just want y'all to know that's what it means. It's not lap time, okay?
He is a leader.
And so if your husband wants to go better himself,
go better
Let him.
himself.
He's not like a mean, aggressive guy.
Let him do that, because that's going to affect your marriage. It's going to affect your children. It's going to affect your family as a unit.
He's not aggressive, but he's very well spoken, and now he's not afraid to speak.
It's going to affect your neighbors and your friends and extended family.
Since he's been doing that, he's like skyrocketed at work. It's insane.
The benefits you are meant to receive, but obviously not guaranteed to receive. Let's be clear about that. Obviously, for legal reasons, they're very clear that
Testimonials
maybe nothing.
or hostage videos. They did have that vibe. They did have like a blink 3 times if you need us to come rescue you vibes.
Meanwhile, behind enemy lines.
But what if bettering himself means becoming a Nazi? That's pretty much what it means. And that's what's so crazy about this movement is it to somebody like me, it's like so obvious. Like it's so obvious that this is how you fall into like the far right manosphere weaponized nonsense. But it's just kind of mainstream middle America bullshit at this point. It's just like the nostalgia, I don't know what the right word is, the lore, right? It's like the lore of Americana or something.
Happen. They're so vague and poorly thought out that it could be anything. They have all these testimonials from people who've completed the project and, as mentioned, their wives, but none of them seem to be able to actually give an example of the way their lives improved, just that they felt more confident or life was easier in a very abstract, ill-defined way.
Wait, the AR, they flashing signals.
You blink your eyes.
Yeah, they're flashing the signals. It's worth hearing what they say anyway. It's so funny.
Of the project. Welcome to another
God, you sound so bad.
I believe so much in the project.
Our family, even just in 1 year, has benefited mentally, socially, physically, spiritually.
I would never say no if he asked me to go and give back to you guys or to connect with you guys. I would never say no. At this point, it's given way too much to my family.
They learned a lot of lessons and became more confident and performance, more entrepreneur than they had been in the past.
You know, and at work, he is a leader.
And so if your husband wants to go better himself,
Oh, this is so weird.
He's not like a
It's so weird.
aggressive guy.
let him do that, because that's going to affect your marriage. It's going to affect your children. It's going to affect your family as a unit.
He's not aggressive, but he's very
Her.
well-spoken. And
She's
now
the
he's not
blink. Look.
It's gonna
She's
affect
giving
your
it to me.
neighbors and your
She's
friends
giving it to
and
me.
extended family.
Since he's been doing that, he's like skyrocketed at work.
And the other ones use her hands. She's trying to create safe space. She's like, I can't get this motherfucker away from me. Like,
Hey, Trump does that.
She's
Trump
like,
does that
away. I would never stop him from going. I want him to go. If he wants to go there, he can always go.
It's insane.
The benefits you are meant to receive, but obviously not guaranteed.
He's not aggressive, but he's well spoken. But now he's willing to speak. What was going on before?
Yeah, I found that's an unusual comment.
Yeah.
There's more to know there. You can clearly tell.
It also does remind me of the way, like, the whole church thing pulls on the heartstrings of people, right? Is like they make you feel like you're being such a good husband and father and man in your community for being a man of God and getting up and coming to church on Sunday and donating your 10%. And I do think that is a huge part of the pull for so many people. And so it is worth noting that they're definitely putting forth that same appeal, that same, and this is again, this is how cults work. This is what I mean when I say, like, you unfortunately sometimes have to attack the lovey-dovey feelings that people get in their religion or in their cult, because unfortunately that's what's used to get them in and keep them in. And this is this is very much the same example. You appeal to the same people the same way. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's super manipulative.
To receive. Let's be clear about that. Obviously, for legal reasons, they're very clear that maybe nothing will happen. They're so vague and poorly thought out that it could be anything. They have all these testimonials from people who've completed the project and, as mentioned, their wives, but none of them seem to be able to actually give an example of the way their lives improved, just that they felt more confident or life was easier in a very abstract, ill-defined way.
I left with enough force and clarity and confidence in myself and my direction to take on whatever was ahead.
Like, I got everything done. I was looking for shit to do. I was finding other areas that didn't even know needed help. It was helping. Like, it was just go time because everything was just easy after that.
Whether it's on the personal side or in business.
What is he doing with this hose? What? Cover your children's eyes. What was that?
I was looking for shit to do. I was finding other areas that didn't even know needed help. It was helping. Like, it was.
Okay, so he's doing the.
Looks like a sledgehammer.
The sledgehammer
on his back.
The sledgehammer crawl. Okay. Okay.
Like, it was just go time because everything was just easy after that.
What? This is the recreational waterboarding portion of the what
is this a dating service?
What the is going on? This is what I'm saying. Like, like, look, I'm gonna just put it to you like this. Y'all see the background. It's Pride Month. Just come out already. Okay? You don't look. You don't have to pretend that you're doing it. Just tell us how you really feel, because it's a little weird that you want to go into the woods with all your man friends and then hammer crawl and squirt water on each other. Like, all this is just very a certain vibe, y'all. A certen vibe.
The opinions of Pocket Locker 86 are not necessarily the opinions of my one black friend or hot program podcast. I'm just saying. No, what I wasn't really gonna say though is, on some level, this stuff works, and by that I mean it's like I don't even want to say the placebo effect, right? But there's something to the intentionality of it. There's something to just the very emotions of. You paid a lot of money to something, right? So there's literally a big investment there, or expense laid out that makes you feel, like you said, like you're doing something rare and exceptional. And then you go literally to this retreat, and a lot of these people are probably not used to retreating or valuing retreat or whatever, or at least not in this context. And so you go, and then you're around a bunch of dudes that are like you, and you're hyping each other up and tossing axes and having fun. And so there is like, you know, that's the same thing that bonds frat brothers, right? They go through something and all that. Like, so we know that there's like a real psychological effect of those things, right? And when they're all coordinated together and associated with the same thing, you are going to feel some type of way, and it's very predictable that it's going to translate into some sort of feeling energized and motivated and purpose-filled and whatever when you get back. And again, I think that that's part of what's really dangerous about these type of things, is they can just do all this stuff and people feel so much about it, and they start drinking the Kool-Aid or sucking the hose, or whatever we want to call the activity we currently are looking at here. But yeah, this is a little weird. Definitely not something I want to pay somebody $18,000 to do to me. I will say that.
Whether it's on the personal side or in business. I can pick up the phone. I can call one of 60 guys, whatever, of our group, and get help, get some counsel from people, that understand me, and are freaking savages.
Wait. What was the comment you put up there? Something about swishers?
Yeah,
You just
Casey
had. I
Randy
didn't
said
see
he
it.
was like me. Bring a couple of packs of swishers with you. Yeah, that's the stoner. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Those dudes like me. Yeah, exactly. You get a bunch of dudes like me in the woods. You gonna be able to smell from a mile away exactly what we took a retreat for.
$18,000 for that, huh?
Yeah, you're gonna hear the
You'll find the Tesla Model S crowd. Some of those guys.
But see, that's what I'm talking about, though. Imagine though if me and a bunch of friends, I don't know why we would do male only, but we wouldn't even have to, but just have a bunch of just friends. We just all got together. Let's not say we even spent money to grift to a program, but we literally all saved up a bunch of money over a year or two, and we had some extravagant expense, and we paid it just because we wanted to like rent somewhere luxurious or like create some type of wild and out ass thing, and so we did that. And then we just brought a bunch of weed, a bunch of fucking alcohol, and we just had potlucks every night, and we just hung out and got to know each other and spend some time with each other. And we traveled and we physically got to be in each other's presence. I mean, I'm sure we would come back feeling like that was a life-changing experience. Like I guarantee you, we just would. And it's I think it says something important about us. Okay, so I'll say this, like that's what's interesting about a lot of this. Part of what got me into evolution was thinking about human behavior from a systematic perspective. And in a sense, you could think about that as the understanding the aspects that are somewhat predictable. Obviously, your law of large numbers, it's people are different. So behavior isn't perfectly predictable, but it's predictable enough that you can use that information, right? And so if you want to be a more effective writer, communicator, politician, musician, whatever it is, like the more you understand these things, there is a way you can use them to be more effective. But I also think of it as something you need to understand so you can be critical about what's presented to you and sort of recognize. You hear people say, like, when they were coming out of faith, for instance, they would recognize, oh, when I go to a concert or I go to a nightclub, I get this like overwhelming social experience the way I did when I was in church. And then they realize, oh, that can be created in a bunch of different scenarios. That's what I mean about kind of having that awareness. But people who grift professionally, they're oftentimes educated formally or more intentionally in that type of stuff. And I think more just the general public needs to be educated in things. I think like you should have social dynamics, or what I would call like even more just like social skills, to get it into like a more basic level. Like it should be part of our education. If you think about it, you go through your whole education in our school system and nobody ever teaches you anything about social skills or how to deal with other people. I think that's
we had a
kind
class
of
like
oversight.
that.
You did?
In my high school, we had a class like that.
That's awesome.
It's funny because our instructor was someone who probably we all poked fun of, and easily one of the instructors in our education, because me and friends still talk about her, that we're most grateful for, right? When we're kids, we don't know anything. The stuff she's teaching us is comical because we haven't applied it, right? We haven't seen how useful what she's telling us is, even with dealing each other in high school. But when we got to college, me and my friends, we'd be talking about her. After college, me and several friends from high school got together like 3 years ago in New York City, and that lady came up again, and we're talking about the stuff she taught us way back when in like 1989, right? Because why? It was transformative stuff. We didn't know the value of what she was telling us. We're all just trying to get a good grade in her class. Meanwhile, the woman, it was called life skills. She was literally preparing us
that's a
for
good name
life.
for it. Yeah. And right. And so when you're a kid, that's like corny. That's like the soft skills class or whatever, but you realize later it's valuable. That's super valuable. I actually wish that was just integrated in more curriculums, I think. And I think probably at every level, right? Because it changes from what you need as a young child to high school to young adult,
right?
To college.
Kindergarten is preparatory or preparatory. I don't know how to pronounce it. Kindergarten does that for us, and then you might not have it again, right? Until you graduate, until you start going to therapy because you didn't figure everything out.
So I want to make a comment. So Sumami said, they're the don't wash your ass crack because it's gay crowd. They neglect bunghole hygiene and sanitation. All right. So there is a weird thing where, and I will say like the thing that really made it highlighted for me was COVID, where I started to feel very insecure about the hygiene of people around me. And there's just a lot of nasty stuff. Like you see people, like I always use the example there at the gym, they stop working out to go take a crap. And then they go right back to working out without washing their hands. And you'll see that if you are just in the damn locker room when they do this, and you're just like, oh my God.
Well, they didn't poop on their hands, Jay.
But
I'm kidding. Someone said I didn't pee on my hands when I said, "Aren't you gonna wash your hands?"
But that's literally what they'll say. That's how they think about it. And I will say that there's also a weird thing with like race, right? Because there's part of race has always been like you don't want to get in the pool with black kids or whatever. Like it's almost like because there was something nasty or unhygienic about blackness that was contagious. It would like you don't want the blackness to rub off on you or something like that. And then the irony is for black folks, we look at white people and we're like, y'all nasty. Like we're not the ones sharing our fucking sandwiches with our dogs. And I'm gonna just put it to you like that. I'm gonna just when it comes to the hygiene conversation, we're not the ones sharing sandwiches with our animals. Okay, just come at us, okay?
The 75 hours, amazing experience. And yeah, pushing through those hard moments, they were the breakthrough. They were the proof to myself that I'm not going to quit on myself. I'm not going to quit on my team. I'm not going to quit on my family.
Nor is it clear to me the mechanism by which the change is meant to occur. It seems that the idea is that suffering builds character or some shit like that. You know, the same excuse that your dad would make when he wanted you to take out the trash. So they make you crawl around in the mud and get yelled at so that you can prove to yourself you can do difficult stuff, and that's meant to be healing somehow.
Okay, also like a couple things. Very Christian, just very Christian-y. Just, I don't know, that suffering builds character.
I can't agree with that.
Great.
Oh, the suffering, the suffering builds character. God chastens who he loves. So that's proof. Okay. That's what you
also
mean. I was gonna say they're crawling around on the ground.
No. But and then also like what I might describe as recreational hardship. So like one of the things that's weird to most people is life doles out a lot of hardship as it is. Like it's just stressful, it's just difficult, there's constantly a limit of resources, there's pain, there's discomfort, like and it's you gotta remember, like we think like basic brain behavior interaction 101 is people seek pleasure and avoid pain. Sounds trivial, but it's like essential to understanding people's motivations in life, right? And then it just seems like people get, the more and more privilege they get, the more it's like they're lacking hardship, and it really makes them feel like they're missing something. And so then their recreation and their adventure seems to be seeking out stress and trauma and like difficult things. And it's like, it's a little bit weird. Like it's understandable in certain aspects, like sport or whatever, you know, hobbies or like whatever. But when it gets to like, I want to go away and go on a retreat. Oh, cool. You're going to relax, catch some R&R, decompress, drink a few Mai Tais, you understand? No, we're gonna crawl around and deal with the fire and do the army, boot camp thing. That's weird. Like, it's a little weird to me. I'm just saying, it's just weird to me. It's just weird to me. When I get some time off, I'm off. All the way off. I don't want to stress. I'm playing some games. I'm linking up with the gang and gather. We gonna have a good time. We're gonna light it up. We're gonna mold. We're gonna cheers. That's what's relaxing to me. That's what you do in your spare time. I'm not going to boot camp on my vacation. Like, I'm not finna do that. Are you going to boot camp on your time off? I'm not.
No.
Wait till I'm gonna say you about to become a dad. Your time off about to become so precious.
I'm about to go to baby camp and figure that out, changing diapers and stuff like that. And she's a girl, so I have to wipe from front to back and not back to front ever. And I've just purchased some spray bottles to help clean her.
I have a feeling your number one pastime is about to become sleep, because you're gonna be.
I've had people tell me that, like, "Oh, get your sleep now," and
get your sleep now.
I want you all. I want my naivete to soak in on you all, because I think this is going to be the easiest baby. She will sleep, and if I go check on her in the middle of the night, she's awakened just to see me. There's no tears, no crying. She'll give me some sort of signal that says, I need to be fed, I need to be changed, or I just want to see you, Daddy. And then I'm going to tell her some story or whatever, a short story, and she'll fall asleep in my arms, being the happiest child in human history, feeling safe and warmed or air conditioned, and she'll go right back to sleep.
Nah, I think that's how you end up. I think that's how you end up divorced.
So now allow me.
If you're the dad and you're parenting on easy mode, I'm like, yeah, your partner they're probably little, but the dudes, the people I see, like their marriage is strong and they solid. That's because they both losing sleep. They're in that battle zone together. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe your mileage may vary.
Look, I'm on Lasix. I'm already waking up to pee every hour anyway, so I'm just up.
Oh,
I'm just up. Yeah. So me and the baby, like I said, we'll be okay. And believe me, I will tell you all how horrified and drained I am at how wrong I was. If that is the case,
that's gonna.
But I think the baby. Wait. What did that? Wish all.
Katina said,
"You're asleep now."
Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting. Katina, I couldn't sleep well last night. I couldn't fall asleep till like 5 o'clock this morning, and was awake at like 8:30, I think it was.
Yeah, I also struggle with sleep.
But wait, there was a comment before Katina's comment.
Oh, it was a emote. There's no comment.
Oh, okay.
Hold yourself accountable.
Oh my no. Hell to the no.
You start fighting, I'll stop dragging you to the bottom of the
What?
But like, here's a secret tip from me to you.
What?
You can do difficult stuff for free.
No,
you could now.
Gang. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, y'all. The caucasity. I'm just saying, no. You cannot do that to a bunch of brothers. No. You try that to a bunch of brothers in the woods, you're gonna get stomped out. I'm just telling you right now. Don't try that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't got that kind of insurance. Your insurance is not that good. Your insurance is not that good. Look, there's only certain people you can do that. You gotta no. Hell no. Sorry, that was disturbing.
You could learn a second language. You could learn a new skill or some shit like that. And in doing so, you'd actually be demonstrating personal growth, because now you know you have the discipline required to make actual changes rather than just doing something difficult because a muscly man was yelling at you. The idea that suffering builds character is a weird way to market a program meant to help alleviate suffering.
And so, long story short, the project was really created to help men overcome their trauma. But it's wrapped with, hey, come work with the Navy SEAL, work with the Marine, work with an entrepreneur who's going to help you become more productive in life.
Like, unless your specific problem is a phobia about crawling around in mud, I don't see how doing this actually helps you take responsibility for your problems. If anything, it's like a very unpleasant way to run from responsibility, to attribute everything wrong with your life to some vague, nebulous personal problem you can solve in a weekend, or better yet, pay someone else to solve for you. I did it. I carried a tire through a muddy field or some shit. That's all I needed to do to quit drinking. I'm practically done now. I'm still drinking, but I carried the tire, so now I know I can, so it's easy. It isn't.
Yeah, and I talked about this on a previous stream, but there's a real way in which I think a lot of religious people conflate religion and spirituality with mental health. I think it's, again, it's part of my motivation to be like against these things, because I think as we learn more about mental health, we can't afford to have people messing around and conflating it with spirituality. And I think you see a similar thing here, that, you know, first off, you have this sort of highly militarized group, and they're clearly paramilitary type thinking, and sorry, they seem to be like one note people, or, you know, they have one tool, and when all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail type of situation. But like, boot camp is not the answer to not being able to communicate with your partner, or not being properly motivated at work, or you know, not having enough balance in your life, whatever it might be. These are actual real problems that you can seek real tools for, and ultimately, even we have highly qualified professionals that help people deal with these issues. And it's fun. We're here to fun, and we're here to point and laugh and say, haha, isn't that silly? But there is a real way that, because I've participated in this, like with like the pickup artistry culture and all that stuff, where you take something that's perfectly a natural motivation, like I want to have more confidence in my romantic life, or I want to do better at work or family or whatever it is. And then there's this really pernicious industry that is looking to take advantage of people who are motivated like you, and drain you of resources, and offer you meaningless solutions that in many cases may actually make the situation worse, not better. Like, if you're, you know, maybe not securely in this class, and spending $18,000 is something quite devastating to your family, or again, you just fall into this toxic right-wing manosphere rabbit hole, and become some sort of weird, creepy alpha chad. It's, you know, it's just one of those other instances of pointing out the importance of skepticism, because these people are sitting on some bullshit.
Strong to get hard. It isn't hard to get strong, for example, because it's like hard to lift heavy stuff. That's the rewarding part of it. It's not because you don't believe you have the capability to lift a heavy thing, and once you learn you can do it, that'll suddenly make it easy. It's hard because you need the discipline to do that for a long, long time. And discipline, by definition, takes time to develop. Now, I don't want to sound snide here. I mean, I feel snide, but I don't want you to notice. But like, this sucks. It's so shitty to try and trick dudes who are struggling into paying a huge stack of cash and promising you're going to fix any problem they might have, including some pretty serious problems like substance abuse or emotional disorders. It's not only irresponsible, it's actively predatory. It can be difficult to sympathize with people who fall for such an obvious and manipulative scam, particularly one which leans into all of these ugly right-wing stereotypes. But you have to keep in mind that when you're suffering, when you're really down and out, you want to believe there's an answer. It's not a state of mind that lends itself to rational thinking. And it's all justified through this like idea of a crisis in masculinity, that men stopped being real men at some point, and they have to train themselves in order to become men again. At some point, men were stronger and more resilient, more competitive, more success, more dad. Now men are none of those things. They've changed in some way I can't describe exactly, but it's entirely holistic. It's everything about them has changed in that way that I can't describe. It's like what it is they're too soft, or they're too feminine, or they're not strong, but like not in a way that you could measure. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's a vibe that men are less like men than men should be. You can tell, right? Don't you feel that too? I mean, not you, obviously. You're obviously man enough, but also you're not, and you need to learn how to be. I don't know, whichever makes you want to give me your money more. To the
And it's also weird too, because again, these are by definition people that can afford to throw away $18,000 on a goddamn retreat. How much are they really struggling? And that's, you know, that's a real sad deal too, right? Is that we're doing something very wrong in society, that people who ostensibly, like, most of these people are successful at business, whatever, they're fine, they're educated, they live in nice neighborhoods, they own their homes, they own decent cars, they're married to attractive women, their kids go to good schools. Like, if you're having a crisis of identity, like what the hell's going on with the rest of us? So it's sort of weird.
Well, a lot of times, look, my education in getting a marketing degree, we had to learn about playing on people's insecurities. When I'm trying to sell you this is an odor eliminator. The guy that was renting this my mother-in-law suite, he burned incense. I should have asked him not to, but he burned incense. He's been gone for 6 months. I can still smell that stuff. So I spray this to try to get it to go away. Well, if I know that odor, the smell of a room is important to people, let's make it personal. Let's make it deodorant. If I know a certain number of people in the population struggle with perspiration and body odor, I can direct my product right at those people, talking about how effective it is, how great it smells, and the varieties that I offer. And if it's, you know, all natural with no aluminum, whatever, play all of that up. And I can find you, because you often will have a blue collar job that causes you to sweat, you know. So I can choose those media to market my product and aim it pretty much right at you. When we put those standees you see up in the stores where it has like the product and some sports figure standing there with his thumb up and holding the thing, showing you how great it is, you know, we can find you and you can buy our solution, which may be no better than what you were using before, but I can help you think it is. And if I can convince you that it is better than what you had, you might not buy another deodorant for years, you know. So we'll get your deodorant business for a long time. And if I show in my commercial the guy wiping it on one time, you will probably wipe it on one time. But if I show you the guy wiping it on twice, like 2 passes, guess what you're gonna do? If you saw that commercial. Now, if you only needed to wipe it on once, but you wipe it on twice, you're going to go through that product twice as fast. If you knew how little dish soap you needed to clean your dishes, it would blow your mind. What do people do?
When I was coming up, my deodorant, I remember the marketing was 2 clicks, 4 strokes. It was in the commercial, like, to tell you that.
Click, click, 1, 2, 3, 4. Click, click, 1, 2, 3, 4.
But that conditions you to use way more than you need.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
People are easily. I say this when we talk about religion a lot, but people really are easily programmed, and that's the thing you got to keep in mind. When you're dealing with someone who doesn't seem sensible in what they're saying, right, to us. You have to have a certain amount of empathy. I know sometimes that's difficult because you just want people to snap out of it, right? Can't you see things plainly? Well, they've been taught not to see things plainly, or that their version of seeing things plainly ignores evidence. And that makes it hard for us because we've looked at the evidence and we've weighed everything and we've taken our time. And we didn't take the easy way. So it's not because we cared, right? We didn't take the easy way. Whereas you have someone on the other hand, they're taking the easy way because they don't actually care to the level that we do. So just bear that in mind.
masculinity. It's that men, predominantly young men, have been conditioned to think that if they can't live up to some imaginary, unrealistic standard created by pop media and advertising, they're insufficient. That they need to have a six-pack and a penthouse where they're falling behind and everyone is laughing at them. This is a lucrative feeling to cultivate, which is why the actual crisis here is that bad actors will do everything in their power to create and leverage it. This is not a problem exclusive to men by any means, but it is one that everyone falls prey to. The reason you get so many spam emails about dick enlargement pills, whether or not you even have a dick to jam pills into, isn't because most guys want bigger dicks. It isn't better to have a big dick. That just makes it more difficult to wear shorts. But you can't sell dick pills if people feel okay with their dicks. So you need to convince them that what they have now isn't good enough. You should be embarrassed about whatever it is my product or service does, and only I can fix it for money. Now, multiply that principle to the entire economy and all of the things that we buy and do, and you can see how it creates an atmosphere that leaves people feeling insufficient. A vague, all-encompassing sense of inadequacy that pervades every aspect of your life. Men haven't become less manly. That claim doesn't make any sense. Being manly is just whatever men do. But if men feel like they're not as manly as they should be, well, that's a great marketing opportunity, isn't it? You know what the problem is here is you're drinking apple juice for girls, and it's making you effete and weak. What you need is Grandpa Smith's Apple Blaster, now with creatine. Apple juice for men. You can see this all over the place in the website for the program. Vague appeals to the way that you're meant to feel something is wrong, that your life is spiritually corrupted or meaningless, but they can fix it, of course, by helping you become the way that a man is supposed to be. That's the problem, you see. You're not man enough. Become more man, more strong, more knight. What that means is, of course,
this is like a huge, it's huge everywhere, but it's especially problematic, obviously, on the right, but then it becomes really problematic in our politics, right? Because part of this thing is it's been weaponized politically, and so now they see the sort of politics of the left as being not masculine politics, as feminine. You know, you always hear like the liberal soy boy type thing, right? And so that's kind of a problem because it's, well, one of obviously it's misogynistic and a whole bunch of other shit. But it does make it much harder to get these people to think reasonably or think about the evidence or think about other people's humanity properly, because they're stuck on feeling like somehow they won't be as high value men, or they won't be alpha males anymore. And it's just so fucking toxic. It is toxic. And it's part of the reason we call it toxic masculinity, because it's trash.
Yeah, so notice he went where I was saying, like we do, I didn't go into marketing, but we do learn how to exploit those insecurities, and that's what we're fixing with our product. We're fixing those insecurities. But we don't tell you that we created them. Right? We don't tell you we made you think it's worse than it is, and that's how we're able to sell you this fantastic project. Only $10 for our fancy deodorant, which is essentially some other brand that sold for $3 somewhere else.
So Sumami's comment, it's easy to see when a potential relationship is going to go down the domination route, and a woman that's educated and conventionally attractive wants an equal, not a master. What's interesting is a lot of these people, like I'm thinking about their wives, like from those testimonials. A lot of those women, unfortunately, as y'all know, have been brainwashed into like buying into their own subservience. Yet still, I think they're not happy. And they would be much happier in a relationship where they were equals and not married to someone toxic. But unfortunately, it's like they haven't even given themselves permission to even admit that that would make them happier. And I think that's largely due to, like I said, their own brainwashing. But yeah, it forces this feedback loop to these guys, because they literally see these wives telling them how much better they would be, and they just, yeah, they believe it, they buy it, unfortunately.
intentionally left vague so you can kind of just insert whatever you want. If they said, for example, that this program helped you attract women, well, I might feel like signing up means I have to admit that I'm bad at that. And that might make me feel bad and
Very
embarrassed
much.
because I've been conditioned to believe
Yeah,
that
a
makes
lot
me
of
bad
these
and embarrassed.
men, even the ones that are successful in business, they're still living two household incomes. It's just kind of necessary, especially when you're raising a family. Two income
because
household,
it's a helpful thing for
It's a
advertisers.
two-household income.
If they said it'll help me become a successful businessman, I might worry that signing up gives the impression I'm not successful in business yet. And I'm embarrassed about that because I've been conditioned to believe that that is embarrassing because it's a convenient thing for advertisers. But if they just say they'll fix like whatever, if they'll fix just the feeling of shittiness that I have, well, now I'm not admitting anything. Once I become more manly, whatever it is that means to me, I'm cured. This malaise will go away, and I won't have to look in the mirror and confront all the ways I've been made to feel bad about myself. All of the things I've been told are inadequate and embarrassing about me. Those things will solve themselves once I fix the root problem, which is that I didn't give a muscly dipshit $18,000 to yell at my tummy. Look, if you want to suffer, you don't need to pay someone to do that. I can show you a way to suffer for free. The eyeball zone.
Hello and welcome to the eyeball zone. Here in the eyeball zone, every evolution is purpose-driven towards putting eyeballs on small projects and creators. We maintain a pretty laser focus on eyeballs here in the eyeball zone. Well, not a laser focus. Lasers are actually pretty bad for eyeballs. We do neglect the other sensory organs of the face. And this is most true of perhaps the mouth, one of the most important holes on the human face. Which is why I'd like to talk about the Cathedral Community Fridge, which feeds hundreds of people a day in the Canadian prairies. And they could use our help with funding, among other things, repair and maintenance. And to put that in perspective,
This is a charity
I was
plug?
told to stress the fact that one of the doors, and I quote, blew out of its hinges. Here's what Channel Comrade Re-Education had to say about this project. The Cathedral Community Fridge is a mutual aid organization out of the Canadian prairies that uses decentralized and democratic organizing to end food insecurity instantly. As poverty becomes more extreme, so does the work to lessen suffering to those living in it. Please consider donating, sharing, or engaging to help the Cathedral Community Fridge continue working towards liberation. You'll find links to their GoFundMe campaign and Patreon in the description to this video, as well as their Instagram if maybe you can't contribute
All right.
financially, but you just want to spread the message around. I'm sure any help would be
Cathedral
appreciated.
Community Fridge for those that want to help donate. That's I figured it was a good video. I'd let him do his plug. All right. So yeah, what do you think of the Modern Night program?
I think it's unnecessary. Often I'm a lucky guy that I got a lot of really wonderful, successful people in my life who, when I'm struggling with this or that, they either notice or they make time for me when I need to talk to them about it. And not everybody's the same kind of role model, right? Not every person has the same set of skill sets. So I could go to my neighbor Dan for one thing, or my neighbor JJ for another, or my neighbor Christian for another thing. And I used to go to my neighbor Mario a lot because they have a different background, which gives them the understanding of some things that I just don't have, right? Whether it's, hey, how do I do this? Or how should I negotiate this? The crowd I sort of spend my holidays with out here in California, there's one of the guys is a retired airline pilot, and talk about a successful businessman. This dude, it's like there's nothing he hasn't figured out. He's one of those people. And I remember I was talking to him about how I was renting out space in my house, like this space I used to rent out. And he mentioned, he goes, that's a really smart idea. I felt so proud of myself because Earl said I did something right. One of the most successful guys in a neighborhood full of successful guys. He was praising what I did. Well, I felt pretty great. But there are those people who know you very well and who've seen you be in a better place in life and do better than you are doing now in life, and whatever that means, right? And sometimes it's sitting down with those people and saying, what am I doing wrong? And sometimes the answer is you're not doing anything wrong. This is a tough time. That's been hard for me to hear, you know, in the last 2 years. Like, this is just a really rough time. And so it's no surprise that you're having a tough time. But I made preparations to weather the storm. And if there was no storm, I'd still have all that money. And it would be, life would be a bit more exciting and a lot more comfortable. But that just tells me, look how valuable it was for you to be so conservative for a few years and stock your money away, you know, not go crazy and have an $80,000 truck.
Right.
And a
Right.
69 fiber, you know, just dialing everything back sometimes was what was necessary. Now, as I proceed and, you know, when I can go back to work because my back isn't just a nightmare, I have to start that process over again and balance being a dad and balance being a husband. All of that's new to me, right? You know, I got
Right.
married in December. My wife didn't even live in the United States until October of last year. So even though we had more than 2 years on the phone and on the internet, there's that adjustment of, okay, now we're in the same house. We're in the same country. Going back to the guys there in their program, there will be people who need to spend the money and feel like, hey, I really made a concerted effort and I made it up that hill and I never thought I would. And I have the courage and strength to do more in my life than I ever thought I could. That's going to be valuable for them. And I don't want to poo-poo that. I think ultimately programs like that don't help most people and wouldn't be helpful for most people, even if they were given to them, even if they were free. I think most people need to put in check their emotions in a way that allows them to go after more of their potential and more of their potential. Someone asked me, would I tell my daughter to follow her dreams? Like, I moved to California because I wanted to be an actor and writer. I failed at both those things, succeeded at other things. But I would say, as long as it makes sense to do so, there came a point with me, it did not make sense to keep trying. You know, I spent 18 plus years failing at that. So I'm like, I'm not going to spend 19 plus years failing at it.
Right.
Time to change. Time to change. And so I did.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem of this stuff too, is that it doesn't give anybody any sort of focused way to change their direction or shift what they're doing, right? It's just like come to this thing and get a testosterone spike, I guess, or whatever, and you know, struggle and get, you know, waterboarded with a hose, and then that's supposed to magically solve your problems. I think one of the things that was a bit understated in the video was just the sheer amount of magical thinking involved, just the sheer amount of do this random thing and life will magically be aligned. Of course, also, you know, maybe he just felt it went without saying, but I think you could clearly see this is a form of far-right extremism. I think the softest it ever got was sort of the super traditional, oh, look at us becoming better husbands, fathers, and whatever. Christo-fascist light. But I think really, if you really look into it, like from the amosexual gunness to the toxic masculinity to the clear patriarchy to them feeling they need to be trained like paramilitary Chad so that they can be the good guy with the gun. You know, this is very much how people fall into the far right's ideology and way of thinking. And it's incredibly problematic too, because of the fact that they're getting that powerful experience of community and socialness and bonding the same way you would in like a church group. So I did think that was worth pointing out.
Yeah, there's a real value. I've gone to therapy. I've had 3 different therapists in my different points in my life. And they were really valuable experiences to go and attend and have someone sit down and listen to what I think the problem is and work with me to figure out if that's really what's going on, or is it something bigger, or why does this keep happening? When you unlock that, then you're really onto something. You can really move forward with some of your issues. It might cost about $18,000 too, but it's not going to happen in 1 week for most people. It's going to take longer to explore that. And you can day by day, right? You go to the therapist for 45 minutes and then you go home and you can apply what you just heard that day to see how well it works with your family, to see if you're more available to them, if it's work related, right? To see if you're more available at work. You might actually work for people. If you're a valued employee, your employer might pay for you to go to therapy, whether you have health insurance or not. They might pay for it. I worked with someone, he was the payroll guy, and the boss said, oh, okay, I know you got these appointments with your girlfriend. You can go ahead and take time off to do that. And he paid him anyway. So if the guy worked half a day, he would get paid for the whole day to go to his therapist.
It's a crime to me that we don't have universal health care, though. Nobody should have to make that decision.
I think if we stop doing foreign aid, we could easily manage it. Yeah, I have a whole plan. If you want to talk about healthcare in this nation one day, I think I figured it out. All right.
So we'll wrap with this. Umami said they're okay with gender affirming care when it's weird white supremacist themed weekend retreat. I couldn't agree more. Because it is weird. These people are super bigoted and anti-trans and all that, and that's exactly what this is for them.
We don't get that from this video, though.
Gender
That's not fair.
care.
We don't get that in this video.
We get that from this video. You gotta remember, like, I'm not a person who you have to spell out your racism for me. I'm gonna read the room. Right. And this crowd is that's where they're at. Like, I don't know. They can't fool me. Like, these are far right people. Like, that's what they're about. I mean, and I think you would get it if you were there. You would get it in the terms, actually, here's the thing. You got to remember, this is looking at basically their marketing materials. I guarantee you go to one of these things, you're going to hear extreme right-wing talking points directly from the instructors. They're going to be talking all about being a biological man and the woke, and people are trying to redefine gender, and like, trust me, yeah, this is a far right power. Sumami said, I smell it and it reeks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just 2 clicks and 4 strokes and it might not reach so much.
Yeah, there you go. If we tax the rich, we could have healthcare. Insurance companies could still be in business as processing centers. I'm with it. I'm so with it. You know me, give them a gold watch and a plaque that says you won capitalism. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please like the video, subscribe to the channels if you're not already. There are links in the descriptions. Leave us a comment if you're watching later. We'll be hanging out and gather. I will be on Ember's channel tonight at 8 to talk about Eric Hovind, I believe. So that should be interesting. We'll see what Ember's dragging me into.
By the way, is Eric Hovind also Donald Trump Jr.?
Pretty
Is it
much,
the same
pretty
guy?
much, yes. Yes. Actually, yes. Actually, they are the same person.
Have they ever been seen
They
together?
yeah, right, exactly. All right, gang. Love you guys. As always, be good to yourselves
and each other.
All right, come hang out and get